This is Candor Talk. Thank you for tuning in. Let's get right into the show. But before we get into the show, don't forget to check out our website, sylviaexpress.com. Hey, fabulous people. How you doing on this great Saturday? Thank you for tuning in to Candor Talk. And let me just say something. Listen, justice is never swift. It takes time, but it comes. Justice also never sleeps. And justice comes in many forms. Sometimes it's even poetic. In time, the imposter in the White House will be out. He will be out. His days pretending to be a president are numbered. The exodus from his base is astonishing because his alleged presidency was, is, and will always be a sham. The greatest heist of the U.S. presidency in history. And I feel badly for some of you Trumpers, and I have to be candid, I really don't. But this is the thing. We told you guys, and I don't want to be like, I told you so consistently, because that's the kind of thing that it's kind of crass and it's insensitive, but we did tell you, so I'm going to move on from that. But in all sincerity, it's really hard, and I understand this. If you are a Trumper and you ever listen to the show, because I know some of you do, because you get so angry with me with things I say, but I'm going to continue to say them. I'm not going to stop saying them. So nevertheless, I know it's hard coping with knowing that you were conned. It's really hard to come to that realization, and I'm not going to be so insensitive that I don't recognize that it's hard coming to that realization. That fraud in the White House took advantage of you and swindled you out of your money and your time and pretended he was going to do things that he was never going to do. And that is why now that there are some that are now calling themselves the former Trumpers, not the never Trumpers, because they started out as Trump supporters and are now feeling that Trump is a fraud, and they're fleeing the Trumptanic. The Wicked Witch of the West, Ann-Coulter, she's like leading this wing of the party that's like revolting against Trump. But there's some others that are also despising him right now, and I'm going to get into that in a minute, because there are many of them that feel betrayed. But here's the Wicked Witch of the West, kind of ranting with some other Republicans. It's a pretty short video, but here's the Wicked Witch of the West, Ann-Coulter. Here she is.
Ann and I have become members of a new category, not the never Trumpers, but the former Trumpers. How are you?
Which ought to be much more terrifying to the president.
Oh, I hope so. But I get the feeling that that he does not pay attention.
I think the scam is up. We did what we could. I mean, it's just like Brexit. We vote and we vote and we vote. And even a guy who spent 18 months saying at every single rally, every single day, that he was going to build a wall, won't build a wall. You just can't win anymore. So,
I mean, it's not just like Ann-Coulter, too, like I said before, that's also very upset. It's like so many of them are criticizing him after the omnibus catastrophe, but it's also people like Alex Jones. And I don't know if you know much about Alex Jones, but he's like one flew over the cuckoo's nest, okay? And then there is like Cernovich. These are people who were diehard Trump supporters who basically helped catapult him to the top, helped get him over the finish line. Listen to what they're saying about Trump right now.
This is the big assault. I think they're planning something really, really big. And the fact that Trump's rolled over to the false flags and patronized the gun grabber groups and tried to neutralize them, that was the wrong advice. He encouraged it. Instead of, and I think he sowed the seeds of big problems.
Yeah, it's over. Trump will be impeached beginning in November 2018 if he does not take immediate offensive
I agree.
action.
I think he's got a month or two to turn it around and wake up, or he just screwed himself.
No question.
Okay, see, they're the ones that consistently are talking about impeachment. Okay, so they're the ones that consistently bring up impeachment. And it's interesting, though, because they're always going to be like those thirsty right-wing provocateurs like Sean Hannity that'll go back to publicly supporting Trump and making the Republicans in Congress the punching bags. And let me just tell you something. I have no objection to pummeling Republicans the way that they're getting pummeled right now. But the disingenuousness on the right by like people, like I said, like people like Sean Hannity is absurdity at its finest. You know, what has happened here with his base is nothing like I have ever seen. You can go back to defending him as much as you want to, but there are so many of them that have jumped off the Trumptanic. They're not going to be the band that's sitting there playing as the Trumptanic sinks. You know what I mean? Like in the Titanic, when the band was like the band is still playing as the ship's going down. They're not those people. Those people will still be there on the Trumptanic. But the rest of them, I'm telling you guys, they are fleeing. The anger that I'm seeing, it's unparalleled. It's entirely unmatched. Go to sylviaexpress.com on Monday and you'll also see the Trump regrets. People are even saying things to him like he needs to step down. They're calling him a traitor, stuff like that. And then he attempted to lie and say that he will use some of the military budget to build the wall. And that calmed down some of them. I think the ones that, like I said, will always be on the Trumptanic. These were not people who were saying they were off the Trumptanic. The ones that said they were off the Trumptanic, they're not back. They don't buy the fact that he's going to build the wall. But this is the thing. This is the thing. The truth is, that's not going to happen. That him allegedly claiming that he's going to be able to build the wall using the military money, that's not going to happen. Military money was already appropriated in the bill. There is not a border wall. There will not be a border wall, as the fences are still getting fixed. Do you understand that? He's fixing the fences. That's what you signed up for. Remember? Build that fence. Build that fence. Remember that? Those chants at the rallies, at those huge rallies where he's extorting money from you guys and having you guys buy his Make America Great Again hats that were like $50 or something like that. And you guys were buying them and screaming, build that fence. Yay, he's going to build a fence. Remember that? Yeah, because that's not what he told you about. And the thing is, even the ones who were like overtly racist, they're even done with you. He didn't fulfill his signature promise, and that was to force another country to pay for the U.S. border wall. Imagine telling your neighbors to pay for your fence to protect your property. It's completely insulting and egregiously obtuse and unrealistic. But anyway, it's not just, excuse me, it's not just the outrage from the base that makes impeachment more likely for Trump, but it's the Mueller investigation is heating up. Mueller used Gates for the Russia collusion investigation. It's actually Russian conspiracy because there is no such thing as collusion. Illegally. I mean, there is something called collusion, but there's no legal crime for collusion. And the thing is, I told you guys this before, like, I never base my opinions on what I hope will happen. My positions are based on evidence I've seen. I said in a previous show that Mueller did not need Gates to convict Manafort. That he offered Gates the sweetheart deal because of the conspiracy investigation. Well, it just came out that Gates got the deal from Mueller to help him with the Russia probe, not Manafort. And this news is huge because Gates was with Trump much longer than Manafort. Gates is now believed to have been working with a Russian intelligence person. Let me just tell you something. Even Fox News is like, look, dude, all right, Trump, time to take this stuff seriously. You're in some serious trouble. Time to take it seriously. Here's Fox News.
Robert Mueller and the scope of his investigation and the powers that he has. Well, he has now found that the Trump campaign's Rick Gates knew he was speaking to this Russian intel agent. What do we know about this?
This is the biggest hint that Bob Mueller has shown us of the existence of what the non-lawyers are calling collusion. The legal term is conspiracy to receive something of value from a foreign person, entity, or government when you're running a federal campaign. That very agreement is criminal. So Rick Gates has apparently told Bob Mueller, among many other things, yeah, when I was in the campaign, I was speaking to this Russian intelligence agent. Wow, what were you speaking about? Were you getting information from him? Were you getting anything of value from him? Remember, Gates is Manafort's partner before, right, during, and after the campaign. Gates has pleaded guilty to a small fraction of what he was charged with, and is now a treasure trove for Bob Mueller.
I mean, at least you can say that, right? So what else are we going to learn on this front? Where will Mueller go with that new information? As you called it, he's really only giving us a hint at what he's saying.
Correct. The interesting question is, why is he hinting at this? I think he's hinting at it because he wants to say to the no collusion crowd, which is many well-intended people, where's the collusion? Right. I have something here. I'm not going to show all of it to you until I develop it more. He's obviously going to develop it more. Person A, whose name we don't know, is obviously a Russian official who's not going to come to the U.S. because the minute he does, they'll arrest him.
Okay, so that is bad business for Trump, but I'm telling you guys, it was obvious that Mueller was using Gates for the purposes of the conspiracy investigation. There was no reason to give him the deal of the century for him to be able to convict Manafort. And it was obvious to me after all the indictments of Manafort, it's like, he's going to be able to get a conviction somewhere. So why would he need Gates? He has so much overwhelming evidence against him. And this is another thing, too. Like, lawyers are literally refusing to represent the imposter in the White House. I have to let you listen to this clip real quickly. This is about the lawyers that are just refusing to represent the imposter in the White House. Here it is.
Although the White House keeps insisting President Trump is satisfied with his legal team, 2 more lawyers have now turned down offers to join the president's defense in the Russia investigation, citing business conflicts. This makes the 5th major law firm that we know of to receive a recent invitation to help the president with the Russia probe.
Okay. Let me just explain to you why lawyers are running from this. But let me just say this. Mueller has the dream team, and Trump has the powder puff team, right? Like the powder puff team. And lawyers are suddenly finding that they unfortunately have some sort of archaic, like, conflict of interest. Like, they'll be like, my great-grandmother once removed knew Trump's uncle's cousin on his father's side in 1947. I mean, these lawyers are making up so much nonsense not to have to take this case, and here's why. Trump is a horrific client. He's culpable as hell and publicly exhibits his culpability, like, literally every single day on Twitter. Second, Mueller's team is a powerhouse. These are the best prosecutors in the country. Third, it's a losing case. If Mueller decides to bring a case against Trump, you're not winning if you're those lawyers. Why would you take a case that you know you're going to lose? And another thing, too, is you are so far behind Mueller that you will get beat up by the Mueller team. So who's going to take who? Look, Mueller is not playing around at all. Literally, one of Trump's allies was sworn by agents at the airport. Here's a clip explaining that.
According to a report by NBC News, a professor and author who once presented himself as a possible Trump administration ambassador was detained and questioned by the FBI at Boston Logan Airport, where he was served a subpoena from special counsel Robert Mueller. In an emailed statement to NBC News, Ted Malloch said that he was flying from his home in the UK during a stopover in Boston when he was detained and questioned at the airport. Malloch reportedly claimed that 2 FBI agents then told him he was being detained to answer questions related to the special counsel's investigation.
Okay, so look, these guys are not joking. I mean, literally, if you committed a crime and Mueller's coming after you, be careful when you're getting to the airport because they will swarm you, they'll stop you, and they will warn you that you better not lie. And I guarantee you, and then he was also subpoenaed right there. Can you imagine how scary that would be? I mean, they're not joking, okay? They know what happened. They're just trying to put all of that together right now. Because you have to understand, they're going against the president of the United States. And then on top of all the bad things that are happening for the imposter in the White House, the right-wing media had been pushing for Jeff Sessions to basically appoint a second special counsel because they were claiming there was some impropriety with the FBI and government officials, etc. Sessions refused to actually, at this time, appoint a second special counsel and decided they were going to continue to do it in-house. This could probably lead to Sessions firing because Trump is a maniac, so this could probably lead to his firing. It might, who knows? But if that happens, that curtails the Mueller investigation. And let me just explain something. Here is the harsh reality. Sessions is, unfortunately, a necessary evil. In life, at times, you have to be able to differentiate between wants and needs. Sessions is a terrible person, but Trump is a demon. Sessions is a need, okay? He's not a want. He's fired or removed, which could be possible. The Mueller investigation is in serious peril, and the Mueller investigation is heating up. So people out there, those reporters and all these people who continue to report that Mueller is investigating Sessions, it's literally irresponsible. And if you're hearing those reports or you're retweeting things like that or you're posting things like that on Facebook, if you really don't like the imposter in the White House, you're not helping. If Sessions begins to feel that he has some kind of criminal exposure, he will make the Mueller investigation untenable for them. If journalists really truly care about reclaiming democracy, then you must accept that Jeff Sessions is a necessary evil. What Jeff Sessions is doing can be reversed. However, what Trump is doing could be everlasting. It's the bigger picture we must focus on. Sessions is detestable, literally a detestable Keebler elf, but he's a necessary evil. And as I said before, justice never sleeps. If Sessions violated the law, he will eventually be held accountable as long as he's still alive. But to attempt to hold him accountable now while he holds power over Mueller might be one of the most reckless things that the MSN has done to date, and they've done plenty to help advance the imposter in the White House. They cover Sarah Huckabee Sanders knowing that her job is to lie for a living. They cover all the propaganda without proper refutation. They cover Trump like all the raging mad things that he does in its entirety without commercial breaks. They rush to cover every utterance Trump makes. If you sat next to Trump one day on the bus, you will be interviewed by the mainstream media. To report on Jeff Sessions is recklessness that further proves why alternate media is the future. The MSM is benefiting from the chaos. And so I don't trust their intentions anymore. Sessions must stay until Mueller is finished. Phew, I got that off my chest. Hope-Hicks also left the building. That's not good news for Trump. She was basically one person that kind of held him down. She left the building. And let me just tell you something. They were talking about Stormey-Daniels and how Stormey-Daniels' lawyer just lost against Trump because Trump gained a victory because he will not be deposed at this time by the judge. Let me just tell you this. For those claiming, like clickbait, Politico, that Trump will not be deposed, they are lying. The judge's decision to deny depositions at this time was a completely sound decision. The court isn't even certain if they have jurisdiction to hear the case at this time. Jurisdiction must be established first. However, if the case proceeds in federal court, Trump will unequivocally be deposed. So any of you left from his anemic base, it's just a fallacy to presume the judge's denial of a deposition at this time was a victory for Trump. It's laughable to say the least. The motion was premature, and once I saw that he had filed it, I wasn't happy about the maneuver. It's overzealousness, but Stormey-Daniels has a badass attorney, and he's aggressive. Therefore, I presume he anticipated that his motion was going to be denied. I think he filed it to scare Trump. I think he wanted Trump to know that that's how serious he was going to be. And that's how serious the exposure was going to be for Trump going forward. And now there's another thing. There's also speculation that Paul Ryan may be resigning at this time. And the thing is, it's interesting because Paul Ryan not seeking re-election is not something that I would care about. After all the jellyfish spinal cord responses Paul Ryan has had in response to Trump's mania, he's finally become so untenable that he doesn't think he can win. Where is the tiniest violin the world has ever seen? Goodbye, Ryan. If you decide not to run again, goodbye. Please kindly retire today. Save yourself the further humiliation by exposing your backbone is made of the softest cotton made on the planet. And then let me just tell you another thing. Please stop listening to polls. The only polls that matter are the ones during elections. Trump has a relatively small base. It's still in the millions. Yeah, cool. 10 million maybe? You're never going to win another election anywhere else, and you don't have the public support anymore. Your base is running from you. Literally, legitimately running from you. However, it is important that we also stay vigilant because Trump's, literally his administration is running the most crooked, corrupt, dishonest, enterprise I have ever seen. We cannot be the kind of people who say, okay, when is this coming? I'm going to grow impatient and just let go and not care. It is easy to believe that the foundation can hold because of systems we've set up. That is a fallacy. You have to remember that the U.S. is the greatest experiment in history. This is a country that is only hundreds of years old. It can easily fall like the Roman Empire. What preserves a foundation is the adherence to the system. When the imposter and his crime family and his crime administration are literally looting the country, using our money for their extravagances, and they go unchecked, we are surrendering those systems to authoritarianism and tyranny. It is mandatory that we stay engaged. We have to write our Congress members and demand that they hold this criminal enterprise accountable. I never signed up to be paying for Trump's crime family to loot the country because that's exactly what they're doing. But I'll tell you this, as bad as things are going for Trump, I'll be honest. The truth is, if there is one job I no longer admire, it would be the President of the United States. I'll be right back. righty. Thanks, guys. Okay, so I always said, in the second segment, I'm going to talk about something that I think is more about social justice. So anyway, I'm going to talk about Laura-Ingraham and David-Hogg. Okay, so Laura-Ingraham is one of the most despicable human beings on earth. She attacked David-Hogg about not getting accepted to certain colleges. David-Hogg is one of those Parkland student activists. I'm going to play this clip that explains what transpired, and then I'll talk about it after this. Here it is.
The war of words began after 17-year-old Parkland shooting survivor David-Hogg told TMZ he'd been rejected by 4 University of California campuses.
So it's been kind of annoying having to deal with that and everything else that's been going on. But at this point, I was, we're changing the world.
Fox News host Laura-Ingraham slamming him for whining about it. Hogg then posted a list of what he said were Ingram's top sponsors, calling for them to boycott her show. So far, at least 4 companies have bailed. Nutrish, Rachel Ray's pet food brand, says it's pulling its ads because the comments she has made are not consistent with how we feel people should be treated. Hogg has been one of the most outspoken student activists for tighter gun laws.
And the fact that so many children are dying in these mass shootings, and it's unacceptable.
Ingraham is no stranger to controversy.
Shut up and dribble.
Just last month, she blasted NBA superstar LeBron James for talking politics. But today, a rare apology from Ingraham. On reflection, in the spirit of Holy Week, I apologize for any upset or hurt my tweet caused him or any of the brave victims of Parkland. Hogg not satisfied. An apology in an effort to just save your advertisers is not enough. He says his calls for a boycott.
Okay, so he called for a boycott. She actually has multiple sponsors that have actually pulled out. It was like 11 or so, I think now it is. And let me just say something. I despise the hypocrisy of the right that claim to be for liberty and freedom, but literally chastise those who exercise that right and impose your views. There is a kid from Parkland who is on the right and against gun restrictions. I've never felt compelled to criticize him, and I never will, because I believe he, as a victim of tragedy, deserves a right to be heard, even if I disagree with him. Furthermore, he's a teenager. I'm an adult. I refuse to become so absurd that I would stoop so low to criticize a victim of tragedy, a kid. However, as I said before, sometimes justice is poetic. After her abhorrent stupidity, many rebelled and were ready to boycott sponsors. Her sponsors started bailing from her. And to be clear, for those on the right who are so disingenuous that they argue that it's the left's social justice warrior epidemic that repels you, let me remind you that your claims about liberty and freedom, if they were ever genuine or you understood them, allow people to refuse to support something they believe is antithetical to their own beliefs. That's also freedom. You are the true social justice warrior as you attempt to silence opposition. If you truly believed all the bullshit you spew, then you would not attempt to silence kids for opposing your warped sense of reality. Why do you watch Fox fake-ass news instead of MSNBC? I demand that you watch MSNBC. Ensure that their advertising revenue goes up, even if you disagree with their views. See how that sounds? Me forcing you to listen to something or abide by something, even if you disagree? The truth is, you don't believe in liberty and freedom. You only believe that those who embrace your vulgarity and grotesque behavior should be allowed to speak or exercise their right to decide. Laura-Ingraham has the right to be a vile human being, and we have the right to tell her to go fuck herself. Criticizing kids for speaking up is the epitome of depraved. It's symbolic of the panic that the right feels from the effectiveness of these kids. They didn't just organize the largest pro-gun control rally we've ever seen. They also registered people to vote. The tide is shifting and a new day is coming. Good will always prevail over the wicked. These kids' activism will pay off for all of us. So Laura-Ingraham, go fuck yourself. I hope you lose all your sponsors. Literally all of them. ladies and gentlemen, that does it for me. Thank you so much for staying with me. I was actually trying to make sure that I condensed this show and didn't do something for too long. Don't forget to check SylviaExpress.com on Monday. I'm going to be posting some more of these Trump regrets. They're hilarious, actually, some of them. They're just ridiculous, honestly, some of them. But the other ones are absolutely, epically hilarious. So anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. Until next time, have a great weekend. See you guys later. Take care.